Back again, ODHtv, BMF Season 3, Episode 8, Code Red. Episode starts at the Platinum Palace where Meech realizes Angel now belongs to Glock. Duffy tells him she's been with Glock since he left. He then introduces Meech to some of his new crew members. Meech decides to upstage Glock by throwing money in the club to get all the attention back to BMF. Glock sees this and gets upset and leaves. Hoop lets Terry know that his plan is working and Henrietta owes a lot of people money because he flipped so many of her people. Terry wanted to finish Henrietta by letting her own plug take her out because of how much money she owed. But he told Hoop now that he knows that she has a local plug, he has another plan. While Terry is closing up his restaurant for the night, he gets a visit from Marquisha's friend, Officer Vincent, who threatens him with reporting his business to the IRS. So Terry tells Hoop he needs him to find out everything he can about this guy. Meech is leaving the club, and while he's sitting in his car, he sees one of the Techwood boys get caught with product in his car. Back at the house, Meech tells Duffy they have to find a way to move around better with their product because they're trying to make those type of crimes federal, and that they need to find a mechanic. Meech meets with Claude, Remy's right-hand man, to try to make sure that they can get more guys to flip so they can take Remy out from the inside. He also tells Meech that they have a couple of guys that are a little harder to convince and he's going to need Meech's help. But Meech says, no, that's your job, and we'll meet at the Platinum Palace. While Brian is still brooding over the death of his son, Detective Jen comes over, and she tells him sitting around like this isn't gonna help, but taking down Henrietta and BMF may give them a little bit of satisfaction. Bryant and Jen are watching one of Henrietta's crew members, Tyson, who is also her cousin. Bryant says he's the one that signed into the juvenile facility when his son got protection, and also the one that signed in when his son's protection was removed. Jen says she wants Bryant to follow Tyson while she goes back undercover with Henrietta by herself, against Bryant's advice of not doing it alone. He tells her he doesn't want to go to another funeral. Let me know in the comments if you think Jen will survive the season. Terry meets up with one of the business owners that has connections with Henrietta's plug and wants him to set up a meet. One of Sam's workers comes in with a fake lotto ticket from one of the customers, and Terry gets an idea. Charles comes home with news that he's going to be playing guitar for a professional group. He asks Lucille if she'll come, and she says, "Can I bring Maurice?" She thought that was funny. She playing games. Nicole and Breeze are sitting in the backseat of a car drinking and talking. He asks her to be his girlfriend and she says yes. They find a mechanic to help them hide the product in their cars. Meech decides to use this guy, but not being totally sold, he wants to do a test run with one of his boys. Terry sees Breeze in the store, and when he goes outside, he sees his little sister Nicole sitting in the backseat of the car. He goes over and yanks Nicole out of the car and makes her come home with him. Claude is meeting with some of the Techwood boys to flip them over to BMF side, and just as they agree, Remy walks in. He knocks Claude down and then gets on top of him and cuts out his tongue, throws it on the table to his boys. Then he finishes the job. Remy takes back over his crew and is set on taking out Meech and MK's. Meech's guys doing the test run with the new product compartments in the car. The police find a couple of kilos in the door compartment, but when they realize it's baking soda, they have to let him go. Henrietta is stressed about not having enough money to pay back her connect. When her uncle shows up with a bag of money to help her out, he went behind Blaze's back. Terry is giving his father a haircut for the gig he has later. He also gives him money to help show his mother a good time. Then Meech calls Terry and lets him know he needs him to meet him down in Miami. Meanwhile, the Red Dogs are taking out a lot of Glock's crew, and Angel hears him on the phone making a plan to take out Meech. And Terry is with Marquisha explaining to her the new way he's going to wash his money with lotto tickets. And Marquisha keeps telling him how smart he is and how much he doesn't need to work with Meech. While they're waiting for Claude at the Platinum Palace, Duffy tells Meech about how Glock's guys got locked up at Techwood. While the song Poison is playing in the background, two of the strippers show up and invite Meech to a hotel down the block. Charles does get his first professional gig and then goes to speak to Lucille after the show. Then one of the members of the groups gives Charles a card to go talk to his manager. T is still out with Marquisha and Officer Vincent shows up. He starts talking crazy to Terry, so Terry decides to run down every second of his day to him. He realizes he's being followed and Terry knows too much about him, but he still wants Marquisha, but Marquisha tells him to get out of here. Jen puts that horrible wig back on and goes back undercover to hang out with Henrietta. Two cops walk in, so she starts kissing Henrietta so her cover won't be blown. Back at the club, Meech is still waiting for Claude, and someone sends them drinks, but it's not really drinks, it's Claude's face in a bucket of ice. Then Remy walks up and tells Meech that Techwood is his again because the MKs got hemmed up by the police. But he tells Remy it's only a matter of time until everybody figures out why Claude was coming to him, and that they won't need Remy anymore, but they'll need Meech. Terry's boy Sam sets up the meeting with Henrietta's connects. They agree to work with Terry and to cut Henrietta off completely. Angel finds Meech outside of the club and lets him know about Glock's plans to take him out. She also tells him she's leaving Atlanta and going down to work at a club in Miami. Detective Jen goes back to Henrietta's place for some reason. I'm not sure even why she's still undercover. They know everything they need to know about her. This is getting so weird, I thought that Detective Jen was going to let Henrietta pound her out with the strap for undercover purposes. But she sees a picture of a young Henrietta and decides to leave. Meech is at the hotel with those two strippers, and one of Glock's guys walks in and starts firing. But since no one carries extra magazines, Meech and the assassin get into a fistfight, and Meech throws him out of a window. Meech caught his first body. Terry's at home and Meech calls him and lets him know that they have to go down to Miami for business. Terry agrees to meet him there. Duffy tries to dissuade Meech from going down to Miami because that's Glock's stomping grounds, but Meech tells him he has no choice because that's where the mechanic is. Brian is sitting in his car surveilling Henrietta's cousin Tyson. He watches him walk toward the alley and decides to approach. Brian attacks him. He beats that man and sends him to meet Jesus with his bare hands. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the episode.
Player, I mean, games that you playing, I see. The chance that I'm taking, I mean, these things that I'm saying, I'm sorry.